Welcome to Baddie, a monthly podcast by For the Breast of Us, the first breast cancer community for all women of color, where we share real-life experiences, information, and education to help you live your best life after a breast cancer diagnosis. Hello, and welcome everyone to another episode in our series, Love and Cancer. If you don't know me, my name is Marissa. I am the CEO and co-founder of For the Breast of Us, an online inclusive community for all women of color who have been impacted by breast cancer. Today for our Love and Cancer series, I have joining me Vanessa and Kelley. Hello, Vanessa and Kelley. How are you doing today?
Good. Hi, good.
Good. So we're just going to, have a free flowing conversation, as we always do with some of my other guests, talk about your breast cancer diagnosis, what it's like being a caregiver, and how that has impacted your relationship. So Vanessa, I know you're the one that we contacted, and you contacted us about being involved in this series. So can you tell us a little bit about your breast cancer diagnosis, please?
Hi. So I was diagnosed in May of 2015. I was 38 years old with stage 2B ductal carcinoma. I had a lumpectomy, and it was lumpectomy, and then we started chemo. Kelley and I had only been married for about 7 months, and before I was diagnosed, so it was a little stressful. I am ER/PR positive, HER2 negative. I had chemo. I had just ACT, the red double, and Taxol. I went through many rounds of radiation. I got through it and was considered cancer-free in February of 2016. That's where we start our cancer journey. It continues. Kelley was an amazing caregiver at the time. Mm-hmm. Did you want me to go on about my diagnosis, or I'm sorry.
Sure, you can go into your diagnosis now currently.
So then in 2021, I was diagnosed with a reoccurrence of breast cancer and was diagnosed metastatic in my liver. So I've been on, I started chemo again in September of 2021 and have I started chemo. I started chemo, and then in February of 2022 is when I started my Ibrance, and that was all. I had a lumpectomy in November, just recently. So I'm navigating the metastatic. It seems still very, very fresh and clean.
Right.
It's still, I'm still kind of working through it. It's been a year and a few months, and it feels like forever, but we're just kind of working through it. In the midst of my cancer diagnosis, both of them, Kelley will share her cancer journey.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to touch on a little bit. So Kelley, not only was Vanessa diagnosed with breast cancer, in the beginning when you were both together, but in the midst of that, you were also diagnosed with breast cancer as well.
Yes, I was. So my cancer was pretty much the same thing that Vanessa had. I had a couple more problems. And I've had a full mastectomy on one side. So my radiation wasn't quite as long, but my recovery was a little bit more difficult, it seemed like, than Vanessa's, because I'm 15 years older than Vanessa.
Okay.
So it took a little more toll on me than Vanessa.
Yeah. And so you both have a unique relationship in the fact of that both of you were diagnosed with breast cancer. Mm-hmm. So tell me a little bit, how did that impact your relationship? Did that make you both, stronger? Were there, some ups and downs, and just trying to figure out how to navigate that?
Ever since I was a little kid, I hear stories about, oh, so-and-so's husband is divorcing her. And I'm like, man, she has breast cancer and then this jerk's going to do this.
Mm-hmm.
But going through it, you don't know until you go through it.
Right.
And it is a test. It is tough. And it takes skill to learn to not do that, to go, wait a minute, everything's difficult for this reason, and this reason, and we have to deal with it. You can't just go, well, I'm done. Bye. So it did
it took a huge toll
on us. Yeah.
My first diagnosis. I was so young, and I was still having to work full time, and I think there was a lot of fatigue, and I leaned on Kelley a lot and was not very good about expressing my needs and wants as far as like what is needing. And Kelley took a lot of the brunt of those days, which is very kind of her. But yeah, it was very stressful, and I can see how it does really play a heavy toll on a relationship when you've got one person who's not understanding the complications or the side effects and
Right.
how to express them from somebody who's going through chemo and radiation and the fatigue and the food issue, the mouth sores, the
Right.
not being able to explain what's wrong, and at the same time wanting to help but not knowing how to help.
Yeah.
Was a big topic for us. What do you want? I don't know. I don't want to feel like this anymore.
Right.
I don't know. How do I help you? I don't know. So there was a lot of that
Mm-hmm.
during my diagnosis. When I was declared free, we were just screaming from the rooftops with such happiness and was trying to get back into a groove.
Mm-hmm.
And so when Kelley was diagnosed, it was like a huge PTSD moment for me.
Yeah.
It was I having to going back into the same hospital that I went to for the infusion center, and sitting there during being on the opposite, not being in the chair and being the observer and sitting there and getting the water and checking to make sure that she's okay. It was like the roles were 100% flipped upside down.
Right.
And I was the role of the caregiver and she was the role of the patient. And it was like we grew this unspoken language of relativity and compassion.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in that time, our relationship really grew solid because it was like she learned to understand what it was like to be in my shoes.
Right.
And I understood what it felt like to be in her shoes. The not knowing what to do and wanting to just fix your person.
Right. Right.
Wanting this, like, I want to make everything right. How can I make it all right? And
Yeah.
knowing what it feels like, when you just don't feel good.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, it's a unique perspective to have. Like you said, now the roles were reversed where you were her caretaker while she was the one that was, going through her own cancer treatment at the time. And so you understood where she was coming from or how she may be feeling, where there are some caretakers and caregivers out there who don't know, so that is unique.
Extremely eye-opening and gave us both a lot more understanding. And like Vanessa said, it really did help us to put more bricks and mortar in our foundation,
Mm-hmm.
and build us stronger, because then it really did make us feel like it was the two of us in this little bubble against the world,
Right.
because we had this secret society we were going through.
Mm-hmm.
you don't really feel all wonky from, feeling so different and feeling like nobody understands what you're going through.
Mm-hmm.
And so having that perspective as a caregiver and as a patient it was just like, what's, it really does bring everything to light.
Yeah.
And it does make things clearer as to what is important.
Mm-hmm.
And so now with my current situation, when it was a reoccurrence come up, it was like PTSD for both of us. We both were like, what is happening now?
Right, right.
And it's changed the way that I view just the world and just life in general, like what's really important. And I think when I was diagnosed, Kelley and I were not living in the same cities with work. I was living in a separate city, and Kelley was living in Southern California, and it was really difficult because all I wanted was my person to be up here helping me get through those hard days. And unfortunately, with the circumstances that we found ourselves, we weren't able to be together. But it really does put into perspective, like the importance of, all the petty things really sort of fall by the wayside. What's
Right.
really important right now as we get through this diagnosis that, this time this one's not going away. We're just going to have to find a way to manage it. It's no longer a marathon. It's like a constant way of living. It's a change of livelihood.
Yeah. And Vanessa, how old were you when you were originally diagnosed?
I was 38.
Okay. Okay.
And I was 43 when I was diagnosed with metastatic.
Okay. Well, let's get into a little bit of the fun stuff, and then we'll come back over to, both of your diagnosis and being a caregiver. So how long have you been together?
11, no.
11, 12 years.
Almost 12
Almost
years.
12 years.
Okay.
12 years in April.
Okay. And where did you meet?
We met at the local bar.
The local women's bar.
It was the women's bar, the local women's
The only women's bar in town.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I love it. I feel like that's a great place to meet people, especially I always say when you like actually sit up at the bar, you like talk to so many people there. So yeah.
There was one that was like a woman's bar led by a woman, and they just claimed Kelley was the bartender and the door girl.
I did it all.
She just kind of worked.
I did the door, I did the bar back, I did the bartending, I did it all.
You were everywhere.
It was a tiny little thing, tiny little bar, dive bar. It was great. It was a great little bar.
Yeah.
No longer there, but I found out.
And so what was your first date?
Oh, well, first of all, we were with other people when we met.
Also, you both were dating other people.
We were in relationships.
We were in relationships.
So I've actually known Kelley for almost 20 years. So we met in 2003 is when we met and we each had prospective partners. But we didn't actually start dating until 2011.
Yeah.
That's when we started. We had a reconnection. I was going through a divorce. We were going through a breakup, and we were kind of in that mindset of neither one of us wanted to be. We just like, oh, this is somebody fun to hang out with, and we were just friends. We had been friends for a long time, and we reconnected on that platform, and it found ourselves kind of.
It grows every day.
Right. Yeah. Every day is different, right? Okay, but so did you guys have a first date, or?
We kind of had officially, our official first date was we went to see a movie. We went to see Bridesmaids.
Okay. I love that movie.
Who doesn't? I thought it was hilarious. It was great.
So who said I love you first?
Oh, that's a good question.
I want to say it was me. I want to say
it was you too.
I want to say it was me.
Okay.
I was afraid to, but I think that's it.
Okay. So Kelley, what's your favorite thing about Vanessa?
Her tenacity. She throws herself into whatever she's doing, whether it be work, whether it be something fun, whether it be something silly. I just love that about her. She's just all in all the time, no matter what it is.
And Vanessa, what's your favorite thing about Kelley?
Goodness. Kelley is just her ability to connect with people, and just the most caring big-hearted person of anything I know, and she gives the biggest, bestest hugs. So it just really does. Like she's tall and she has this really long arm span. So like you just feel so completely embraced and loved when you get hugged by Kelley. It's really
I love that.
I'm kind of famous in San Jose for my hug.
I'll have to remember that.
Oh, Kelley gives the best hug.
So who falls asleep first?
Kelley.
Kelley. And who's the morning person?
Me.
Kelley.
She's definitely a night owl. She stays up all night and then can't get up in the morning.
Yeah, that's me. I love being a night owl.
I just feel like the world is quiet and I'm most productive at that time.
Right, exactly.
It's funny, that was me when I was younger, but not anymore.
Yeah. So Kelley, what is your favorite thing to cook that Vanessa loves?
Grilled cheese sandwich.
How do you make a grilled cheese sandwich? Do you have something special that you do, or is it just pretty much?
I just put love into it.
Yeah.
And you never walk away from it.
Okay.
Never take your eyes off.
Like, so you have a special temperature, like it's not on high. It's not too.
Yeah. Kind of, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Butter.
Yeah. You know, some people have like, I've been hearing some people put like mayo and stuff. Have you heard that?
Ooh, no.
Yeah.
I have.
Yeah, it's supposed to like make the bread more crispy or something like that on the outside. Yeah.
That's what I heard.
Yeah. So you may have to try that.
I might have to try that.
And just see. Let me know.
I will.
So who's the better driver?
Me.
Yeah. Vanessa's like, I'm not going to argue this. It is what it is.
Yes, we will always argue about who's better driving. We both have like impeccable driving records, so it's really hard to say.
Yeah.
You know, on paper, we're both very clean records, so
yeah,
it's just a matter of preference, I think.
Yes.
So I could get somewhere, I'm your person.
Right. You're going to get me from point A to B.
Quickly.
So out of the both of you, who is the most social? I think I know this answer.
I am.
You are? Oh, I was going to pick Kelley.
I'm very social. Kelley has a presence about her that is just lovable. I don't think she has to say anything or engage with anyone. I think her presence is very felt in her room. So everybody loves Kelley. That's totally undoubtable. Everybody loves Kelley, but I am the more social being.
Okay. Yeah, you're the social butterfly out of the both of you.
Yes.
Okay. So we're going to get back into your diagnosis just a little bit. And I kind of have maybe a little bit of a hard question. But, you know, both of you are in the LGBTQ community. And how has that been navigating the breast cancer community, also being in the LGBTQ community? Has it been hard for you to do that? Have you found support, resources?
I feel like we have a lot of support there. Everyone has been very supportive in if we needed dinners. You know, we had tons of friends bringing us food when we were both sick, you know, doing stuff for us. Some friends putting on breast cancer awareness fundraisers and stuff like that. So everyone's been really supportive. I
feel in our case, we're very prominent in our community, and we have a lot of friends and a lot of wonderful, supportive people. I noticed as I was entering MBC, like looking for support groups for the LGBT, and I only found one. Like, it was really hard to find a group online or locally for specifically LGBT community.
Yeah.
It was kind of and for the rest of us was the only one that I could find that was legitimately for the LGBT specific, and had its own group for it. All the organizations are very open and are very, very nice. They work with it, but they're not specific for that group. And I felt like that was kind of my mission. I kind of made it my own personal mission to find that kind of support, because I feel like in times it's also really difficult for some of us in our community to relate
Right.
to others as the cisgendered world. I
Mhm.
mean, we're both out and have been out essentially most of our lives. So we just kind of live that. So it's
Right.
very easy, we're not ones that have ever held back. So I think we just kind of are just used to living in the normal, like living in the cisgendered world. But I can only imagine, like within my community, how difficult it must be for somebody who can't relate to that world.
Right.
And I told Kelley, I'm like, I'm going to make it my mission to find that group, and for the rest of us, that was so welcoming and supportive of the LGBT community.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to second that. Agree with Vanessa. Us personally, the two of us had lots of support.
Mhm.
But yes, in that way, when we were looking for outside stuff, it was a little hard.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that For the Rest of Us was an opening community for you. And, we definitely try to strive for that to be opening, to everyone, of course. What would you both say to couples out there who are in the LGBTQ community and, one of the partners has been diagnosed with breast cancer and they're trying to navigate the breast cancer community, as a whole, as being a caregiver or a patient? Like, what would you tell them? What advice would you give them to be able to navigate that?
I think my biggest advice would be always self-care is always so important, that you can't pour from an empty cup. So
Mhm.
it's always so important to take care of yourself physically, emotionally, mentally. Find yourself your support system that you need to take care of you so that you can be there for your partner.
Mhm.
As in regard, both of us have personal individual therapies with someone, because I feel like that has really strengthened our bond too, to have an outside, like a person that you can like speak to,
Right.
that doesn't have anything to do with us as a couple.
Mhm.
It's just so important to do your health checks.
Going back to one of my first comments when I said, I always thought it was so terrible when the wife would have breast cancer and all of a sudden the husband's leaving. I think that's a big part, is he's not doing his self-care. And so he gets really bogged down and he just can't handle it. So that is something that's very important. But also, if you're looking for a support group or whatever, make sure to do your research on them,
Yeah.
Because I don't think Vanessa just opened up a book and found you guys.
Right.
I really had to do a lot of research, and it was I don't want to say frustrating, because I'm just that type of person. I'm very diligent and resourceful, so I try to find the answers to my questions. But
Mhm.
I do feel like my advice is to find a group that works for you, and
Yeah.
don't stop looking. Like, it may not be, you might have to like date different support groups, like and it's frustrating, and at times you just want to have that solution. And
Mhm.
I've recognized, like, I had to go through several support groups to say, okay, this one doesn't work for me, or this one doesn't work for me. Oh, that one's really great, that one's really great, but the timing doesn't work for me. And I just know that there are so many support groups for all types. And my advice is to definitely make sure that you're doing the self-care that
Yeah.
you need, so that you can be there for your partner, because that's important, to take care of you.
Yeah.
And also, don't just look for one kind of support group, because Vanessa looked at the LGBTQ, she looked at women of color, she looked at young ladies, I've looked at not so young ladies, and we've gone through go through the spectrum, because just because someone's like you doesn't mean you're going to connect with them in the way you want to.
Right.
I think that leads into my next point, would be communicating. Very much. It is so important to have a way to communicate with your partner. and be patient and loving and kind always. Find a secret code that works for each other to help, give me like, I need quiet time. I need, I need you to not talk to me for the next
Right.
30 minutes.
Mhm.
I need to leave me alone, and I just need to come to my thoughts. So I think open communication, being open and consider, I think your basic
Yeah.
needs, and never, and always recognize that you're never alone.
Hmm.
There's
I
always,
do. Yeah, I liked what you said about dating. About you need to date different organizations and communities out there just to see if it fits for you, instead of just going to one community and being like, this is it, this is what it's going to be, and then maybe you get in that community and it's just not for you, so then you're just stuck. But just realizing that there's so many communities out there, and it's okay to kind of date them and see what works for you, see if you find your people, and then go from there.
And you don't have to just stick with one. I mean, you
Right.
can have several different, and they can be all different kinds of people,
Hmm.
because that's going to give you so many more perspectives and so much more information on what you're going through, what you need to do, what about your medication, all that stuff.
Right. Yeah. Um, so as a caregiver, and both of you guys are caregivers, like, what has been your biggest hurdle? I know the one thing that both of you have said, and some of the other interviews that I've done so far, everyone has said communication. And, maybe if you can expound on that a little bit, because we all know that communication is kind of the foundation for any type of relationship that you have, regardless if it's romantic, platonic, working relationship, whatever the case may be. But how can people communicate, especially if that is just not your strong suit and you're dealing with somebody who has been diagnosed with breast cancer?
That was one of the things we learned when we switched roles. It was like, I'm talking to you and I'm trying to get something out of you, but I'm not understanding. And I'm not understanding why you're not giving me the answer I need. And then when I flipped around, I'm like, oh, because it's not there, you know? Um, so I want to say listen closely when you're listening to your partner on what they need. Listen to them, watch them, and you can kind of figure it out that sometimes they're saying one thing, but they mean another thing. Um, Especially in those times when, what do you need? What do you need me to do? I don't know,
I think it's just open compassion and kindness, and not giving up, and not taking it personal. It's like, so I think sometimes that Kelley will feel like it's like, because she can't figure out what's wrong with me, that it's like something that's wrong with her, and it's like,
Right.
oh, no. It's like, it's not you. I promise.
Yeah. Right.
But unfortunately, you're the one that's having to deal with my feelings,
Hmm.
only because you're the closest one here. But
Right.
bottom line is, it's not something to be taken personal. Our cancer diagnosis is nobody's fault.
Right.
And how we're feeling is just a reflection of the medication sometimes, and the frustrations about the world. So I think that would be something to say, it's not personal. It's not about you. It's really just being compassionate and kind and understanding, and making sure you take care of yourself, um, and that will help your partner. I say it all the time, like, taking care of you is one less thing for me to worry about. So
Hmm.
I can focus on being better for you. So,
Yeah.
and at the end, both people are able to benefit from that.
Yes. Yeah. I love that. I love that a lot. Well, as we're getting ready to wrap up, I have a couple more questions that I'm going to ask you. So the first one is what one word would you use to summarize your relationship?
What popped into my head was dynamic.
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 I feel like my word is resilience.
Hmm.
Like, that word came up recently for me, and I feel like it covers a lot. We're
Yeah.
really resilient in what we've been through, and our relationship is stronger because of it. Um, we're just partners, best friends. We're each other's partners and best friends.
Mhm.
And we
Yeah.
laugh a lot. We like to have fun, and we just like to laugh a lot. So resilience for me.
Yeah.
And I think that's, they always say laugh is the best medicine and all this, but it is really important because we've gone through a lot, we're going through a lot, and you need those moments where you can forget about it and just laugh at something or go have fun or whatever.
Yeah. I love both of those words a lot. Well, my last question that it's a sentence that I've asked, everyone that has done this interview so far that I'm going to repeat to both of you. And then if you both can finish the sentence for me. So the sentence that I want you to finish is, I love you because.
You go first. You go first. I love you because you love me.
This is going to sound corny.
Hey, bring it. I love it.
I love you because you're so amazing.
That's not corny.
She is so amazing to me.
Yeah.
I love that. Thank you. I'm amazing because of you. I couldn't do what I do without her. I think it's just the road that we've been on. It's nobody else. I think I have yet to meet somebody who's been on this path.
Right.
So it just makes us very understand. Like I have to remind her, remember, we're a partnership that nobody else understands what's going on. So
right.
It's very unique. It's very special. And I feel like because we've been able to keep going, it hasn't left us in jail or that we're doing all right.
Right. Exactly. I'm sure you could probably write a whole book about some of the things that you guys have been through.
Absolutely.
Well, I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for both of you for, opening up your relationship to me and answering my questions, some of them hard, some of them a little silly, and just opening up to everybody who's watching and listening to your relationship and the uniqueness that it is, that your relationship is. So thank you so much for doing that and sharing your diagnosis, Vanessa. We are definitely sending you all the love and everything. And, if you ever need anything, please don't hesitate to reach out to us at For the Breast of Us for any resources that we may have that we can help you out with. I know you know some of our Baddie ambassadors, so please stay connected. And Kelley, thank you so much for joining us as well and being a supporter of For the Breast of Us and of Vanessa as well, too.
Thank you for inviting us here today.
Yes, of course. And to everybody that's watching, thank you so much for tuning in and listening. Don't forget to catch us on another episode of Love and Cancer, and we will talk to you soon. Bye, everybody.
Bye.